What's up, family? We are excited to introduce to you something brand new, something that we feel the world needs. It's an incredible concept that God has placed on me and my brother's heart. Entitled Street Preachers. We're your hosts. I'm Tim Timberlake.
I'm Philip Anthony Mitchell, and this is the Street Preachers Podcast.
We're excited because it gives us an opportunity to have conversations around scripture. And, you know, me and Phil, we're on a lot of different podcasts and we are on our platforms every single weekend. But this gives us a format to unpack scripture conversation in a way that we don't often get a chance to do.
Yeah, and I was just sitting thinking, how did we get here, Tim?
Yeah.
How in the world did we get here? How did we get here? I feel like this journey has been divine.
Yeah.
I feel like God put us here.
Yes.
I feel like God is doing something very special and very important in our lives right now in this season. And I think a lot of people don't even know that we have a relationship.
Yes.
You know, they don't even know how all of this came together. So how did we get here, Tim?
That's a great question.
How did we get here?
Well, I think first and foremost, we felt like we had a mandate from God.
Yeah.
And the journey that got us here has been both a beautiful and a painful journey in our individual lives.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to the call.
Yeah.
And doing something different. And even when you think about the name of the podcast, Street Preachers, it rings true for both of us.
Yeah.
Both of us were knuckleheads.
Yeah.
We straight, God redeemed.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we listen to the hustle and bustle of the streets out here in New York City today, I'm reminded of what God has redeemed both of us from.
Yeah.
And so for me, my desire now is to, really be a servant, but more importantly, a son, because I was a terrible son growing up to my earthly father who is now with the Lord.
Yeah.
And now I have opportunity to redeem that relationship with my mom. She's still here.
Yeah.
But just take what I came from and utilize it now to speak clearly to people who may still be struggling.
Yeah.
And still be in the streets and still doing things that's contrary to the purpose and the will of God. And so, you know, for me, I'm excited about this journey with you. I'm excited about what God is doing.
Me too.
Because I know a little bit about what God has delivered both of us from.
Yeah, I think for people watching, right, I think we should not make an assumption that they know anything really about our story, right?
Right.
Even as we sit here in New York, obviously, I came out of this city. I came out of the darkness here. And I'm excited about this journey that you and I are about to take together. The Street Preachers Podcast. And I think even the name fits us, right?
Yeah.
We have a story.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, where did it start for you, Tim? Your story. Where did that begin for you? Where did that start for you?
Yeah. So, when I was 12 years old, my dad got terminally ill with throat cancer.
Your father was a pastor.
He was a pastor. Him and my mom were pastors.
An influential church in North Carolina.
Yeah. Of a pretty influential church.
Yeah.
At 12 years old, he gets terminally ill. He's given 2 weeks to live.
Mm-hmm.
And it completely turns my world upside down.
Yeah, man.
My hero, who I never saw do anything wrong. I never saw my father raise his voice.
Yeah.
I never saw him do anything that was immoral or contrary to, sound biblical lifestyle and just a spirit-led living.
Yeah.
And I saw him fight for his life.
Yeah.
He was given an opportunity to have an experimental surgery where they cut him from the back of one ear, opened up his throat, and left an incision on the other side.
Yeah.
And when they did that, they removed a tumor from his throat the size of a chipmunk. And when they removed the tumor, they removed a quarter of his tongue, so he's no longer able to eat, drink, or swallow. He's fed through a G-tube for the remainder of his life. And so me having faith built off of the backs of my mom and dad, I lost complete faith in God.
Yeah.
And my question to God at the time, really struggling, was, God, if this is the way you treat your servant, if this is the way you treat your son, I don't know if I can serve a God like that.
I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Absolutely.
They struggle with, how does a loving God allow suffering like that?
What I came to learn, though, is my faith wasn't in someone, my faith was in something.
Yeah.
And my faith anchored on the fact that my dad deserved healing in the earth because I thought he did.
Yeah.
And that's a fleeting faith.
Yeah.
And as a result of the surgery, as a result of the treatment, chemotherapy, radiation, bro, just saw him dwindle down. He was a big guy in stature, 6'5", about 270 before he got sick. Just saw him become a skeleton, a shell of himself, lost all of his hair, lost tremendous weight, fought for his life, could no longer eat, but I never saw his faith waver. I never saw his love waver for people. I never saw his tenacity, his drive waver for the things of God. And so I'm fighting for my faith, and I'm out in the streets, and I'm wilding out, and I'm doing everything contrary to what I've seen them do. Just because I wanted to prove to God that I couldn't be used by him.
Was you mad at God?
I was furious. I was upset. I never got to the place where I doubted God, never doubted his existence. But I doubted his goodness. And I doubt that he was good to me.
So that sent you onto the streets.
Sent me to the streets, sent me living a lifestyle that was everything but godliness and a reflection of Jesus Christ, and really wanted to make God upset with me. Because I felt upset with God. And the thing, bro, that I remember so vividly, my mom and my dad, they never, ever, ever condemned me. They loved me.
Unconditional love.
Even while you was in the streets. Even while I was out in the streets. My mom, she loved me. My father, he loved me unconditionally. And it drew me back to the heart of the Father. And so my dad dies in 2002, the day after my 18th birthday. He sits me down on my 18th birthday, bro. And he prophesies over me. He speaks life into me. He tells me everything that I would do that I was not doing at the moment. And for 5 hours, bro, he sits down with me just like we're 5 hours, just like we're sitting there right now. He talks to me. He places his hand on my leg after he gets finished, says, I love you. He goes upstairs to his room. 2 a.m. that following morning, my mom knocks on my door. He's gone. It's gone.
Transitions just like that.
That's it.
Do you remember everything he said to you before he passed?
I don't. And I regret it. But that conversation and my regret for not leaning into that conversation shapes the way I have conversations today.
But you were still out in the street during that time.
Still out there,
still wilding out. And I know some of the stuff you can't really talk about on camera because of
everything. The implications of
cases and stuff.
And the implications.
But you was far out there. I think a lot of people don't know your story. Obviously, I know a little bit of your story. But you was far out there in them streets.
Far out there.
Wilding out. All the things.
Everything you can imagine.
All the things.
Everything from fast life, women, money, drugs, shootouts, everything you can imagine. And so I went off to college my freshman year, and I went to Hampton University. And in my apartment, bro, I went to sleep. And I thought that I woke up. And when I woke up, I was standing in front of a sea full of people. And when I noticed how many people it was, I looked down at my hands and it was blood smudged on my hands. And I heard the voice of God for the first time say to me, the longer you run from what I've called you to do,
Jesus, man,
everyone that you could have influenced,
Jesus,
their blood will be held to your account.
Jesus, man.
And I woke up immediately. I was freaked out of my mind. 3 o'clock in the morning, I called my mom.
How old was you at the time?
I was 18.
18.
18.
Yeah.
Call my mom. Hey, I had this dream. She said, explain it to me. So I explained it to her in great detail. And I thought she was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And she started laughing. I was like, what the heck are you laughing at? And she said, that's the exact dream your father had when God called him in the ministry. And I left Hampton University that week, transferred to Bible college.
Yeah.
Went to Bible college in Detroit, Michigan. Finished up there. Moved back to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right outside of Durham.
Yeah.
Started pastoring. And that's been 21 years.
21 years. You know, it's crazy too, man, because even for the time you and I have had a relationship, some of those parts of your story, I didn't even know, you know. But even as I listen to you talk, I see some semblance between our stories that I didn't pick up on before, you know, because I remember when you and I was in Florida and we was having conversations about your past, there were some details you never told me. And I'm looking at some of those details and I'm seeing some of the semblance in our stories and how God divinely brought us together. Like even we sitting right here right now, bro, you know, we in Manhattan, we in the city, you know, and I look out, you know, at these streets and think I came out of these streets in New York, right, in Queens. You know, my parents were immigrants from Trinidad, right? And so I was the first person in my family born in the U.S. And when I got here, my mom was a believer. My father was not a believer. My mother led my father to the Lord. And they started a ministry in our house, like in the basement. I was real young at the time. And I remember really wanting nothing to do with church. I didn't understand what they was talking about. But I saw things that they were doing in the house that later on would have an impact in my life. So I saw my parents in the Bible. I seen my parents reading and studying the Word of God. I would see my parents praying. I would hear my parents in the basement praying and calling my name for the Father. My mother had this old wooden cross, and she used to bang that cross on the floor. And I would hear my mother calling my name before the Father, right? My parents had this ministry and they would try to like drag me in on Sundays. And I remember sitting in their ministry and not really understanding anything that was going on. But I saw faith in them. And my father set a good example for me. He was a big introvert, so we didn't have a lot of in-depth, deep conversations, but he set a good godly example for me. And, you know, I saw my father love my mother, love his children. I saw him work multiple jobs. I seen my father be an entrepreneur. I seen my father cut the grass, take care of the house, love everybody. So my father set a good godly example for me in terms of what a man should be. I learned a lot from him vicariously, right? My mother was a hardcore woman of faith. So she was more boisterous. You know, she was loud and I would hear her preach and, you know, and she's preaching to us and all these things. And I never knew about your dream, but something similar happened to me when I was 12. Father put me like on a fast. Right? They put me on a fast for like a week. I'm like, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 12. Now a 12-year-old fool. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you crazy? Like, so, yes. Like, what is this? You know, I never told you this, Tim. Fast. Like, put me on a fast. Like, no, what is this? So I'm drinking water and crackers for a week. Like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And my mother put me on a fast, right? But I never forget during this fast. I never told you this, bro. It came out 12-year-old fasting, bro. Like, bro, at 12. I was like, yo, stop playing. And every day I'm used to eating pork fried rice and chicken wings, bro. Like, I'm from Queens, bro. Like, we eat Chinese food, bro. Like, decent food. Like, yo, this is, like, is this abuse? Like, bro, I'm thinking, like, this is abusive, bro. But I never told you this, man. But during that week, true story, during that week, I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw myself walking up a mountain, and I was wearing like a black and red outfit. And I was walking up this mountain, and I seen this line of people following me up this mountain all the way to the top, right? Obviously, I don't understand this dream. I don't understand this vision. And I tell my mom, and she laughs. That's crazy. Isn't that crazy, right? I tell my mom, and she laughs. And I will learn later that in her heart, she felt that was God showing me that I would be doing what I'm doing right now.
Wow.
And leading people into the kingdom. I didn't know that, right? And I didn't know that, but I'm walking up this mountain. There's people following me up this mountain. And my mom, she sees, okay, God has spoken to my son for the first time. Although he does not understand, he does not fully grasp the concept of what's happening, God has spoken to my child. And I think for her, she had a peace in her heart because my mother had a damaged cervix. And when she came to the country, the doctors told her she would never be able to have children, ever. But my mother, my father were people of faith.
Yeah.
And my mother told me how my father laid out the scriptures. They laid their hands on the prayers of Hannah, and she began to cry out the prayers of Hannah. Like, Lord, if you give me a son, I will give him back to you. Right. And so I don't learn that story till later. So when she puts together how God miraculously gave her this son, and then this dream that I have at 12 years of age, for her, like the pieces come together, like, okay, God, you're talking to my son. He does not know, but you're talking to him. Just like, there's people watching this podcast right now, and they look over their shoulder, they can see the goodness of God at different points in their life. They can see the grace of God at different points in their life. They can see the mercy of God at different points in their life. And when we look back, he gets glory out of some of that story, right? And so, but I'm in these streets, I feel like my environment around me was so strong. So in these streets, man, from the age of 12, all the things, same thing. Like you doing that in the South. Yeah. I'm up here doing the North. We don't know each other, but we wilding out. Right? Like we out here banging, right? All the things, man, all the things that come with the street life, drugs, women, guns, like all those things. We out here in the streets, and I was in a lot of legal trouble. I was in a lot of legal trouble. I got locked up twice in 6 months. My parents did what they had to do to get me out of New York, right? And that's how I ended up in the South. I went to North Carolina Central University, end up in the South. That's how I end up in your neck of the woods, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, got pushed out of New York because of legal trouble. End up in the South. But when I get there, I meet a group of dudes who are from New York, far more ruthless than I was. I mean, these dudes terrorizing all of Durham, bro. Like, you from those parts. You know those parts, man. They terrorizing all of Durham. And I'm in the streets with those dudes. And then that life, I'm down that road another 10 years in that darkness until I get to a point where I'm suicidal. And by this point, I got like all the trappings of worldly success, bro. I got luxury car, banging girlfriend, dope apartment, dope furniture. I got street cred, money, all of that. But I'm empty, Tim. Right? I am so empty. I know that something is missing, but I don't know what it is. Right? And I remember, like just being suicidal twice. One time, shotgun bottle of Hennessy. And God sent someone to the house who used to twist my locks. I had locks like you, bro. Used to twist my locks. Who kind of, with no words, she talked me off that ledge. She came to visit me that night. I'm weeping. Got the shotgun on my lap. Bottle of Hennessy on the floor. She comes to visit me that night. My door's unlocked by the grace of God. She comes through the door. I'll never forget. She sits down on the floor. She holds my hand. We cry. She talks me off the ledge with no words. And just like a couple months after that, man, Lena and I move into an apartment. We do everything wrong. She gets into a car crash. She comes back to the apartment. She puts on gospel music. She's thanking God that she wasn't injured in this car crash. She's lifting her hands. It's the first time in my life I ever heard gospel music. I crawl into her bathroom. I started yelling at God. I'm thinking to myself, whatever she had, I want that. Right? I want that. And yelling at God in that bathroom, God reveals himself to me in that bathroom. God comes and he rescues me in that bathroom. That's how I come into the kingdom out of these streets, you know. And so that conversion happens for me in North Carolina, where you from, in that neck of the woods, you know. And so it's like God brought me out of these streets into the kingdom the same way he brought you out of those streets into the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so even when you and I sit here and we talk about this, right, I see all these semblance in our story of how we had believing parents, but we had issues with God ourselves.
Yeah.
But God showed us mercy and he showed us grace. And he was actually protecting us while he was out there.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I think about like how you've been shot.
Telling you.
You know, I think about the bullets that grazed me, you know, so when we look back on it, it's like God preserved you and I. He preserved you. He preserved me, you know, and so I even think about just the name of this podcast, Street Preachers Podcast. I think it's fitting.
Yeah.
Right, for what God has done in our lives.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something that I think about, you know, and when I listen to a lot of Philip Mitchell, I listen to a lot of messages and I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I don't recall anyone asking you this question. Something that I think about. If you could go back and change something of your past,
Wow.
would you?
Man, if I could go back and change something, would I change anything? You know, like moments like this is the part where people try to rip out of their story pain.
Yeah.
Because I too lost my father.
Yeah.
Right? Like right now, all you have is your mother.
That's it.
All I have is my mother. Our fathers are in glory. My father died of cancer 3 months after I started my ministry. And so it would be easy for me to say I will go back and I will want him here. Or I will go back and say I regret a lot of the life that I lived. And this is the part where people always start trying to rip the pages of pain out of their story. And I think in my early walk with the Lord, I would have said, I would go back and say I would want my testimony to be different. I would want to rip out of my story the time I spent in the street, the women that I abused and taken advantage of, the damage I did to my soul. You know, I think I've done a lot of damage to my soul, right? And I think there's a lot of things in my past I'm not proud of. And things that I would say, I want to rip that out of my story, you know, because sometimes you still get images of some of those things, right? And you still have flashbacks. And because we have an adversary, I think there's times he reminds us of things we've done. You know, he'll try to invoke shame or accuse us of things from the past or make me feel, I'm going to talk for me personally, make me feel unworthy. Make me feel ill-equipped. Make me feel that because of my background, I shouldn't be sitting on this couch or I shouldn't be pastoring at church or whatever the case. And I will want to rip those things out of my story. But I'm not sure if I would change anything now. And I think there is something beautiful that could come out of our scars.
Yeah.
And I think from my scars and from the things I would have changed, I think what I've gained from them is a sense of awe of God, that you spared a person like me. You was gracious to a person like me. You was kind to a person like me. You was merciful. And so when I think about what I would change and how God covered that with grace and with his blood, I think I wouldn't change it now because I think what it does for me now, it gives me a greater awe of who God is and his nature and his kindness. I I still bear the scars of a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I think even those scars help me to better identify with people who are dealing with shame or pain, even if they didn't come out the street like you and I.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been people who've been in church their whole life that had an abortion or been in church their whole life and was living a double life. I think I can identify with people who have felt shame, who feels unworthy, who feels undeserving. And so I would have ripped things out. I'm not sure that I would right now. I think all of that has served to create the man that I am. And I think all of that was strategic in what God is doing right now in my life. But what about you? Would you rip anything out of your past? Would you do anything different?
The one thing that I wrestle with is how I wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
In the last parts of my dad's life.
Father's life, yeah.
And, I wrestle with that every day. Like my dad never saw me living for Jesus. He never saw me living for the Lord. And I just remember, his heart in the conversation that he had, with me on my birthday. And I try to go back and I try to remember it. I wouldn't change the anger.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change the decisions that I made that led me down some crazy dark paths. I wouldn't change, the things that made me who I am today. I believe that's what makes us unique in the gospel. I believe that's why we have a no-nonsense mentality with our approach to the gospel of Jesus Christ and the proclamation of that gospel. But I do wrestle with the idea of what I have gleaned from that last conversation or conversations leading up to his death if I was more intentional, if I leaned into that conversation differently.
Just a little bit more.
And so I wrestle with that.
But even, you never told me that. Tag, bro, I'm about to cry. You never told me that. But like right now, your little man is with us.
Yeah.
Right? Like Max is with us right now in New York.
Yeah.
Right? Like little man's in the studio, little man's out there with Lena right now, running the street. But he gets the benefit from what you didn't get from your father. Right? So it's like the pain